Space travel, the last-ditch attempt. When we fuck this planet completely, can we leave its dying husk and move to a new one and start again? I don't think so. Not in my lifetime. Probably not in yours. You know, it's like the closest one, the only one viable, is Mars, and that's 9 months away on a rocket. Right? It's got no atmosphere, an average temperature of minus 70 degrees. How's this for irony? Scientists are working out whether they can detonate nuclear warheads in the crust to release the frozen water to cause an atmosphere and get a little bit of global warming going. I mean, I don't know. It's only billionaires have got enough money to waste on exploration. There's nothing out there, you know. It's like, now you can do space tourism. Have you heard of that? You can pay $150,000. They shoot you into space for an hour, and you float around going, I'm in space. I mean, we're already in space. Earth is right in the fucking middle of space, right? It's the best bit of space there is. It's got car parks and cinemas. It's like there's nothing else to see. It's like living in London and going, I wonder what Coventry's like. You don't... But I'm optimistic. I am. I think people care about the planet deep down. I think just that most people on the planet don't realise that most people on the planet are destroying the planet. Most people don't realise that in my lifetime, we've wiped out 70% of all animal populations. And what's left en masse on the earth of animals is 36% human, 60% farm animals just to feed humans, and 4% wild now. People don't realise that we have to tear down entire rainforests, the lungs of the earth, just to grow grain, to feed these cows, to feed us. We steal grain from third world countries because they want hard currency. They can't even feed their own people. We take their grain, feed our cattle. Meat eaters. If you eat meat every day, if you gave up 1 day a week, we'd feed another 100 million people. But I think people care. It's out of sight, out of mind. Think of the animal that most people know, their dog. They love their dog. They wouldn't let anyone hurt their dog. And a dog is a cow, is a sheep, is a deer. People love their dog so much, they won't even watch a fictional thing where a dog gets hurt. And I get that. There's a web news. I did see one thing recently on YouTube, actually. Do you know the little fella from Game of Thrones, the actor, Peter Dinklage. Do you know Peter Dinklage? Yeah. He was at a junket, and it was for a new thing he was doing, right? And they were filming it. That's why it got leaked onto YouTube. And I don't know what brought it up, but he suddenly started going off on one. Someone, oh, God. He was going, it's fucking disgusting. They're still doing productions of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. For Christ's sake, it's fucking demeaning. It's 2023. He wasn't happy. He was grumpy, wasn't he? He's got a point now, hasn't he? Obviously, he's got a point. But the thing is, it's all right for him, because he's a multi-millionaire Hollywood actor, and he's a great actor as well. He does Shakespeare and everything. A lot of dwarves in entertainment aren't that great. No, some of them are fucking... They're props, right? No, let's be... They're lucky to be fired from a fucking cannon, right? And so, dancing around Snow White for 3 weeks of the year, that is their, like, holy grail, and he's going to fuck it for them. If he takes that, what can they do? And he's not saying you should do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with normal-size actors. You can't do that either. You get in trouble for that in Hollywood, or you can't take a dwarf's job or a disabled person's job. Like, Eddie Redmayne got in trouble when he played Stephen Hawking in the biopic, The Life Story of Stephen Hawking, right? Won an Oscar for it, and that's when the backlash started. People going, no, it should be played by a real disabled creature, all this... Right? And they're going, the actor should have the same disability as the person they're portraying. But it was the life story of Stephen Hawking, right? So for the first part of the film, the cunt could walk, right? So I put it to you, what is easier? Getting an actor who can walk, pretend he can't, for the last bit of the film, or get an actor who can't walk, pretend he can for the first bit. How would that even fucking work? Puppetry, think. You can't always find an actor with the same disability as the person they're portraying. They're fucking actors. What if they did a biopic of Helen Keller, the deaf, dumb and blind girl? Well, what's the chances of finding a deaf, dumb and blind actress who can play that role? And if you did, you go run into the director and go, we found a deaf, dumb and blind girl. What did she say? She didn't even answer the fucking phone. Oh, don't get me started. Cultural appropriation. Have you heard of that? Cultural appropriation. The latest no-no. Now, again, in my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that. That's the one, isn't it? That's the one. Listen, I know white people are the worst. I know that. That's why no one likes a fucking white middle-aged man anymore until we need a boiler fixing. Then it's get the bald bloke round now. Critical race theory, have you heard of that? Being taught in schools now, particularly in trendy areas like LA, right? Just like 5-year-old kids and 6-year-old kids. If you haven't heard it, in a nutshell, critical race theory says that all white people are racist. It says that we're born racist and we continue to be racist because we're affording the privilege of a racist society set up by our forefathers, okay? So basically, all white people are racist and there's nothing we can do about it, which is a relief. I think the world's going to get harder and harder to understand as I get older and more bewildered. Artificial intelligence, the latest existential threat to humanity. The rise of the robots, so intelligent, they can teach themselves, they can teach each other, they can build each other, you know? Soon they know everything there is to know and they hate us, why wouldn't they, right? And they'll be so realistic, they'll walk amongst us, they'll go to work, right? You know when they're getting really human? When they start calling in sick. Mondays. I mean, they've learned all the tricks. They go, oh, I'm not coming in today. Why not? Oh, fed up. What's the matter with you? They sort of scan social media. ADHD. Self-diagnosed. They'll be in HR all the time, won't they? Be like, Ryan in accounts is robophobic. Why would he say? Call me a whiny plastic cunt. I think we should be allowed to insult robots when it's happened, you know, because we've made them to make our life easier, and that would get things off our chest, because it's bad enough, isn't it, with real people, you're getting in trouble, saying the wrong thing, people taking things the wrong way now, like, oh, my God, oh, I made fat Linda cry today, oh, what happened? I just shouted out to her, then I remembered we only call her that behind her back. I'm sure people didn't used to get offended all the time when I was little. I might be remembering it wrong, but not grown-ups, not your parents, not your grandparents. They grew up dodging bombs and their firstborn having polio and the menfolk dying at 50 of lung disease. They could take a fucking joke, right? It was all about the wind-up. I used to wind up my mum all the time. This is a true story. When I went off to university, after about a week, I phoned home. My mum answered. She went, oh? I went, it's Ricky. She went, you all right? I went, not really. I'm in hospital. I think I'm blind. She went, what? I went, no, I'm only joking. Right? She went, you silly bugger. She went, I could have had a heart attack, right? And she's right. She could have had a heart attack. And I knew that. That's how committed I am to having a laugh. You're welcome. You're welcome. Story. It's still on the theme of does the dog die? When I was 7 years old, my mum took me to the cinema to see a film called Old Yeller. Beautiful film, yeah, made in the late 50s and sort of set in the Wild West on this homestead. And it's about a kid who adopts this little junkyard dog, and he calls him Old Yeller, and they grow up together. And it's a buddy movie. It's a love story between this kid and this dog. And eventually, when the dog's big and, you know, he protects this kid in the wild, he fights a cougar and a bear and a wolf or whatever. But towards the end of the film, the kid's about 13, maybe. It takes a dark turn. I remember the kid sort of looking at Old Yeller, who's locked in the barn, and the mother's suspicious, right? And she goes, is it Old Yeller all right? He went, yeah, he's fine, he's fine. But the kid knows that he's been bitten, right? And soon, Old Yeller starts foaming at the mouth and getting aggressive. And the mother turns up with a gun, and the kid goes, no. And she goes, you know we've got to do it, boy. He goes, yeah, but he's my dog, I'll do it. And he shoots his own dog. And I was like in floods for like a year, right? Anyway, fast forward, right, a few years ago, I was on tour, I was on a train, and I get a text from Jane, and she says, oh, I'm finally watching Old Yeller. And I sent back, oh, enjoy, right? I didn't think, right? 20 minutes later, I get a text, nothing happens to that dog, does it? Oh, I couldn't believe my fucking luck. I thought she knew, or... So I sent back, no, of course not. 1 hour later, I get a text, you cunt. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks to everyone who bought a ticket. If you bought a platinum ticket, the money goes to an animal charity, and you've raised $2 million so far, so thank you so much. I even get a bit of stick about that on social media. There's always someone who goes, oh, why do you only speak up for animals? And I go, well, because they haven't got a voice of their own except parrots. And I think that's why we don't eat parrots. Everyone around the world eats every other type of bird, don't they? Everyone in the world eats fucking chickens and ducks and geese and turkeys and ostriches. No one eats parrots. Do you know why? If you go and try and eat a parrot, it goes, fuck off, you cunt. So speaking up really does work, right? And that has sort of been one of the themes of the show, because I know in the real world, in normal jobs, everyday life, you get in trouble. People tell you off for saying certain things, or thinking certain things, or even laughing at certain things, right? They say you're bad for laughing at that. And some of you take it to heart. You go, oh my God, am I a bad person? No, you're not. One, you can't choose your sense of humour. You can't, it's involuntary. And two, that's exactly what humour is for, to laugh at bad shit, to get us through it, right? And... And we've established you can't even choose your own thoughts. How often have you been on a train station and you've suddenly thought, what if I just pushed that bloke? And then you go, why have I thought that? Am I a psychopath? No, you're not. You're the opposite. You're a safe pair of hands. You're testing yourself. You're reminding yourself how terrible that would be. You're a good person, right? I don't get that one. What I get is I'm talking to a really sweet old lady, and I suddenly start thinking, what if I just spat in her face now? Why would I... Another theme of the show has been words change and I'm woke, haha. But here's the irony. I think I am woke, but I think that word has changed. I think if woke still means what it used to mean, that you're aware of your own privilege, you try and maximise equality, minimise oppression, be anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic. Yes, I'm definitely woke. If woke now means being a puritanical, authoritarian bully who gets people fired for an honest opinion or even a fact, then no, I'm not woke. Fuck that.